What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Bo Nickal sends a message to Khamzat Chimaev. Bo Nickal has some work to do before he's tapped for a shot at the UFC's middleweight title. But not only does the decorated wrestler see himself getting that fight, Nickal believes that Khamzat Chimaev will be holding the middleweight belt when his title shot arrives. The former three-time NCAA Division I and World Freestyle Wrestling champ is preparing to take on Cody Brundage at UFC 300, and Nickal will be looking to move his pro MMA record to 6-0 on that night. Ahead of the upcoming bout, Nickal spoke with UFC legend Michael Bisping. While discussing his UFC future, Nickal let it be known that he sees Chimaev locking up the middleweight title, and that he wants to face Boers in front of a massive crowd at Allegiant Stadium.
I feel like a guy that you didn't mention who could be up there is Khamzat, and
yes,
a bad matchup for really all those guys. He would be a tough fight and a bad matchup for all those guys. But I see him probably being the champ, and that's a dude that I would love to fight. He's a guy that I feel like just has this crazy reputation who I absolutely have to take out before my career is over. So ideally, we're both undefeated. It's for the belt. We do it in Allegiant Stadium, the Raiders Stadium, and in front of 100,000 people, and I just go do what I do.
That's a pretty interesting and some might say bold prediction from Nickal, given he hasn't even faced a top 15 ranked opponent yet in the octagon. Further, while Chimaev has been buzzing in the MMA universe for several years, the undefeated fighter isn't holding that middleweight belt just yet. Could that change by the end of 2024? Up next, let's dive into Dana White's reaction to UFC fighter caught cheating. If you decided to take a pass on the prelims for UFC Vegas 89 this past weekend, then you might not have seen one of the more bizarre endings we've ever witnessed in a UFC scrap. Yup, in case you haven't heard, not only does Igor Severino now have his first loss, the fighter has been booted from the UFC by Dana White. Why? Well, Mr. Severino was disqualified in round 2 for biting. Yes, that's right, biting Andre Lima. And not in an "are you sure" way either. Lima had a nasty bite mark left under his bicep by the shocking foul. When Yahoo Sports' Kevin Iola reached out to Dana White for comment, the UFC boss man confirmed Severino had been punted from the roster. Those were two up-and-coming undefeated fighters. If you get frustrated and want out of the fight, there are plenty of ways to do it, but the worst thing you can do is bite your opponent. Now, you get cut and lose the biggest opportunity of your life. Not to mention, he's going to have real problems with the Nevada State Athletic Commission. Severino had been building some hype in prospect circles for sure. So it'll be interesting to see what comes next for the Brazilian. But given he's only 20 years old, you would think that he has time to put this vampiric incident behind him. Okay, next up, Cory Sandhagen talks about Umar Nurmagomedov. Longtime bantamweight contender Cory Sandhagen has been working his way back to another championship appearance. The 31-year-old has made sure he's remained in the title shot mix, thanks to a 3-fight winning streak he's put together since he failed to win the interim title against Peter Yan in 2021. So who is the Sandman looking at for his next fight? Well, while speaking recently with James Lynch, Sandhagen reported that both he and the UFC are targeting a fight with the undefeated Umar Nurmagomedov.
The fight that I want and that they keep telling me is for a number one contender spot is Umar. So, that I'm here to be a champ. So if it means fighting down in the rankings and they're promising me a number one contender spot, then yeah, I have no beef with that.
And Sandhagen also confirmed that he wants the fight with Umar to be a 5-rounder.
Yeah, that's what I asked for. I feel like I'm a 5-round fighter. I do better in 5-round fights.
There are a couple of interesting things that stand out here. It's certainly true that Sandhagen would be fighting down in the ranks, as Nurmagomedov is currently ranked number 10 in the bantamweight division. Sandhagen, meanwhile, is ranked number 3. So, could Khabib's cousin be one win away from fighting for the title? Well, if he's able to sleep the Sandman, one would think Umar will leap into the top of the rankings. Now, let's talk about the lightweight division. Arman Tsarukyan wants Islam Makhachev rematch next. Following Dustin Poirier's jaw-dropping dispatching of Benoit Saint-Denis at UFC 299, Islam Makhachev reported he wants to fight the rugged star next. But clearly, Arman Tsarukyan has other ideas. If you followed Tsarukyan's UFC path, you know that he made his octagon debut against Islam Makhachev back in 2019. Although the Armenian-Russian lost that fight by unanimous decision, he pushed Makhachev to his limits and drew widespread praise as a result in his UFC debut. Well, fast forward to today, and Tsarukyan is set to face Charles Oliveira at UFC 300. But while speaking with Sportnet's Aaron Bronstetter not long ago, the rising star made it clear he wants to throw hands with the champ again.
Yeah, I feel it's my time, I was waiting so long for that, almost 5 years for that debut, because I fought first fight with Islam, and now I'm like one step to fight with him. So I'm so excited for this fight, and then after this fight, we're gonna talk about this.
Yup, there's no doubt that if Artem takes out Oliveira at UFC 300, he won't be the only one talking about a rematch with Islam. After all, that would be Tsarukyan's 4th straight win, and it would move his UFC record to 9-2. But first things first, and that's getting by the ridiculously dangerous Do Bronx. Okay, let's talk about another fighter who is set to battle at UFC 300. Jiri Prochazka breaks silence on Alex Pereira fight. Former light heavyweight champ Jiri Prochazka is yet another of many decorated fighters who is set to compete at the historic event, as he'll face off with Alexander Rakic. The Czech fighter will be competing for the first time since last November, when he failed to reclaim the light heavyweight crown against the now reigning champ Alex Pereira. Prochazka finished the opening round of that fight strong, as he took the Galaxy-class striker down and worked from the top. But in round 2, Pereira added more gold to his resume by flooring Prochazka with a right hand and prompting a stoppage with more shots from above. So, how does Jiri reflect on that fight now? While speaking with James Lynch recently, the unorthodox fighter said he learned a lot from the loss.
That I have to keep all the fight in my hands, every detail, every small step in a cage, everything, because till that moment I handled that fight, and it was my mistake, was a small mistake, but in this game there is no place for these small mistakes. So,
as you probably know, Pereira is also fighting at UFC 300, as he'll throw hands with former champ Jamal Hill in the headliner. When asked to make his pick for that fight, Prochazka proceeded to lay out winning scenarios for each man.
More weapons in that fight. I feel like there is on Jamal Hill's side, but we'll see. Yeah. Jamal Hill have a better. I think he will have the better chances on the start of the fight, and when the fight will continue, there is more chances for like I've seen that for Pereira, but we'll see. Let the better win.
Yes, we shall see soon enough. Up next, we move away from UFC 300 and to fighter and Laura Sanko go back and forth. In recent months, Laura Sanko has received a lot of praise from various observers and commentators for the work she's done since she was added to the UFC's cage-side broadcasting team. But not long ago, former WEC lightweight champ and retired fighter Jamie Varner let it be known he wasn't impressed with Sanko's commentating. It wasn't long, however, before the latter returned fire, albeit politely and respectfully. Varner, who probably never been called shy or reserved, tweeted out the following criticisms of Sanko for her call at UFC Vegas 89. Laura Sanko is ruining the fights by talking so much. Leave the commentary to the people that have actually fought. A female UFC fighter should have that job. She is just annoying, and it's obvious she's trying so hard and doesn't know what she's talking about. Laura Sanko sucks so bad at commentating. She's a tryhard that speaks about things she knows nothing about. Talking about blast doubles and how tiring it could be in the first round of the fight, like what do you know about any of those things? Stay in your lane, tryhard. To which Sanko reminded and/or informed Varner of the fact that she has trained for years and that she also fought professionally. Jamie Varner, you and I actually fought on the same card in 2011 for Titan FC. We warmed up next to each other in the basement of the Memorial Hall building in KCK. My best friend braided your hair because you couldn't find anyone to do it. I remember thinking how cool it was at the time to be on a card with you. I had followed your career in the WEC, and I was a little starstruck, to be honest. It's okay that you don't like my commentary, but respectfully, I've been a part of this game and training since 2006. I'm a brown belt in jiu-jitsu, and while I can't compare my career to yours, I have in fact fought. And if UFC had a 105 division, I would have fought a lot longer. There you have it. And by all indications so far, don't expect Sanko to be removed from the broadcasting table anytime soon. Now, with that out of the way, we're closing out with an unfortunate headline. Jan Blachowicz reveals bad news. Yes, it looks like we may not see Jan Blachowicz step into the octagon this year, as recently, the former champ announced he's undergoing another shoulder surgery. The former light heavyweight champ has not fought since July 2023, when he dropped a tightly contested split decision loss to Alex Pereira. Recently, the renowned fighter announced via Instagram that another surgery will be keeping him on the sidelines. It is what it is, going under the knife again. It's time for the surgery of the other shoulder. I believe that MML Medical Center will reassemble me, and I would like to thank its boss here, Dr. Nickal, who knows how to take care of a professional athlete and his specialists perform genuine miracles. In just a moment, I'm putting myself under the care of Dr. Damian Zaborowski. Doctor, let's do this. Keep your fingers crossed. With the first shoulder, it helped. Here's hoping Blachowicz has a speedy and complete recovery, and we'll see Polish power on display in the octagon again. Blachowicz didn't mention a timeline for his return, but shoulder surgeries can be difficult, and at the age of 41, any time spent rehabbing surgeries is tough. Sean O'Malley breaks silence on the UFC lawsuit settling before the trial for $335 million. Recently, the UFC agreed to pay 1,200 former fighters $335 million to settle a lawsuit for monopolization. Here's what Sean O'Malley had to say about the lawsuit.
And that's crazy, though. That's crazy, the type of lawsuits they're dealing with. You never know. I mean, I'm just so thankful to not have to deal with anything like that yet. You've dealt with it, and I can't imagine that.
Lawyer fees, that is some serious. It's up there with taxes. Except for the lawyer fees, keeps going. Taxes is a couple weeks.
Well, those lawsuits, though, it's scary, though, because, what if he ended up losing one?
It's weird because I haven't even heard any. Are the fighters all confidential, or they? I don't.
I'm sure they have to be. They have to keep it all just kind of zipped. 1,200.
Yeah, that's a lot. You know what I mean? That's more than 1,100, more than 1,000, more than 800.
Yeah, more than 4 digits.
Islam Makhachev fires back at Dustin Poirier. In a recent interview, Dustin had some words to say to Islam Makhachev. He said,
I mean, that's on him. I've done more in the sport of mixed martial arts than he has. I've been around a long time. I was doing this before it was cool, and I'm still here. I'm still here doing it at the highest level. I could beat anybody in the world, and I hope he's next.
Islam Makhachev responded to Dustin on Twitter saying, Dustin, if you could beat anybody, you'd be holding this belt right now, not me. He also responded to a fan saying, his level is permanent contender. How many title losses? 2? 3? Top comments. Ian Gary is straight up afraid of MVP. Ian Gary, I'm not fighting down the rankings. Dana White, you'll do as you're told. Ian wants Colby. Layla wants Sean Strickland. If Sean was gonna be bigger than Conor, it would have happened already. He's had enough marketing propulsion from everyone available. Sean is funny, but Conor had natural charisma and wit. Colby Covington is destined to end up his UFC career fighting in the preliminaries. Make sure to leave a comment and you might get featured in our next video. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to never miss any MMA news. Check out our video from yesterday if you missed it. See you tomorrow.